Thank you for attending today's webinar hosted by CONNX Solutions. My name is Harpal Gill, and I am the SVP of Sales and Alliances. Today we will be highlighting the new features in our latest release, CONNX version 12. Please note this session is being recorded, so if I could ask you to mute your phones. Today I'm going to be joined by my colleagues Paul Davis, Senior Business Development Manager, who will be guiding you through the new features within version 12, and Kurt Jensen, our Technical Services Manager, who will be doing a demo of the new features in version 12. For logistics today, we're planning on running about 45 minutes for the presentation, followed by a Q&A session. If you have any questions, you can use the chat feature within the WebEx, or you can tweet questions to @CONNX Solutions, or you can ask questions at the end during the live Q&A at the end. Now I would like to turn the presentation over to our first presenter, Paul Davis. Paul, over to you.
Thank you, Harpal. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Our plan for today is to give you an overview of CONNX as a company, give you a brief overview of CONNX, our solutions, just kind of a refresher for the folks that are aware of who we are and what we do. Then we're going to go right into version 12, talk about all the new components and the new features. And then Kurt, who we introduced earlier, will be doing a practical demonstration of some of those new components. And then we'll wrap up giving kind of a recap of all the benefits of version 12. And then, as Harpal mentioned a little earlier, we'll take some of your questions that can come in via phone, or via Twitter, or via the chat feature, which is part of this WebEx. Great. I think Gartner said it best when they came up with this quote, which came from one of their Magic Quadrant documents. The quote is something of this, and I'll have you read along with me. The need for enterprises to improve the flexibility of their information infrastructure is intensifying the focus on data integration activity. More information and application managers are realizing that data integration is a critical component of their information infrastructure. They understand that they need to employ data integration capabilities to share data across all organizational and system boundaries. As you can guess, we're in agreement with Gartner on this, but it's always good to get a good industry perspective on it. Let me give you a little overview of CONNX, couple minutes. CONNX, as some of you may know and may not know, we got started about 25 years ago as part of an organization called Solutions IQ, which is still around now. Solutions IQ was a consulting company up here in Redmond, Washington. Back then, we had a couple of customers who were looking to do some integration work and reporting on some databases they couldn't get access to. Those databases were on one of the old digital equipment platforms called OpenVMS, and the database was called RMS. Well, the short story is that programming and coding became an API. That API became a software product. That software product became a software division. And then CONNX Solutions as an entity was basically founded around 2000. And in 2001, Doug Wright, the owner of the company, decided to spin the company off by itself. Ended up selling Solutions IQ to a pair of Microsoft brothers. And Solutions IQ is still around and actually quite profitable like we are also. We've evolved from working with just a digital equipment company, which is now HP, to all the major technology players from IBM to SAP to Oracle and, of course, Microsoft right down the street from us. The good news is we've been a private company and profitable every quarter in our existence, even during some of these downturns. The management team, pretty much the same folks that have been in place with some new ones, but they're all tenured people within CONNX and industry-recognized folks. We provide two kinds of methods of core competency to you, which I'll go into in a little bit more, data movement and data access. From a pure core competency point of view, we do two things, and I'll go into more detail. So on the data access side, we do data access to 120 databases across a variety of platforms. For that data access, we're using that to enhance reporting of that information where you couldn't get it before. The other part of data access is providing a mechanism for folks to modernize, put a web front end, put a Java front end, put PHP front end onto some databases that they couldn't actually do before. So if you had a legacy database and you want to combine that with a modern application, say from Oracle or from SQL Server, both of those combined with our tools will let you put that to the website. And the third one is, and we find a lot of activity on this, is people who are trying to integrate applications, best-of-breed application, which may be an older one or a legacy one with a newer application they bought for, say, maybe a new ERP system. Our second core competency is data synchronization. Data synchronization is used for a couple of vehicles. One is naturally data warehousing, and we'll go into how we do that in a second. The second one is people who are doing data migration. Again, the same ETL tool called DataSync, but it will let you move the data either in real time or in near real time based upon your needs as an organization over to a target database. So as you know, CONNX has been around for 25 years. We've got over 3,200 clients across 50 countries in the world. A lot of these are household names that you recognize. Matter of fact, some of the names may be up there from your companies. A lot of good colors up on the screen. Great. Partners. You know, nobody can do this all by themselves. We have partners that have taken our technology and embedded the CONNX component into it to allow enhanced reporting. Those are some of our OEM partners. We have a variety of partners that are on the pure technology side, folks like Microsoft and IBM, and people who have databases that we deal with. And then we have of our over 110 partners, companies that are just reselling our tools that are either consultants or they're just companies that are assisting other organizations in giving a total ownership solution. I want to feature one of our new partners, Introspection. Bill Inman, who's involved in Introspection, said it this way: Introspection is one of CONNX's strategic partners. They're part of the latest innovation for textual ETL, one of Bill's companies, this time as an early warning system to prevent litigation. So Introspection with Forest Rim and CONNX are allowing customers in the future to do preventive analytics in the litigation world. Here is a few of the 120 databases and platforms we support. Again, I want to give you a level set of the information of CONNX, so as we go into version 12, you can understand where we came from. We take a look at the left side and, go from the large to the small. And that's an IBM mainframe, and we work with all the IBM-centric mainframe databases from vSAM to IMS to DB2. And also Software AG has a very popular database up there called Adabase that we're a major player with. In the middle is the mid-tier solutions, Windows, Linux, Unix, DB28400, even the debt platform. You'll see a variety of databases, the Oracles, SQL servers, are all embedded in that section. On the right side, we'll call that the emerging technology. That's cloud, in-memory, that's all the desktop databases. Companies over there, you can see Hadoop and HANA, and the Amazon Azure, Amazon and Azure naturally being from Microsoft, and the different flavors of Amazon AWS from either Redshift, which is the data warehousing version, to the standard RDS. Great, thank you, Kurt. So let's talk about version 12. We came here to talk about version 12, and we're going to start talking about the 4 major features that you can find in version 12. As you just saw, you saw a few of the databases we're supporting now. Well, we've added even more to that list that we'll talk about in a subsequent slide. The Excel add-in. Excel is used by more users in the world than any other, let's call it a BI tool or a presentation tool or a data visualization tool to present data from legacy data all the way into Excel with just 2 clicks of a mouse. Streaming analytics. Streaming analytics with KPiSync will let you take the data that's in your organization and push it down to a device like a tablet or a smartphone and use key indicators to see how you're doing as an organization. And we'll see that's part of our demonstration, and a little more in-depth knowledge of that will be coming. real-time data integration, real-time data synchronization from SQL Server. Thank you, Kurt. Let's move on to the next slide, please. So we've added cloud support for all the major cloud vendors. You know, we look at Amazon and Microsoft as the two major cloud providers. We've had Azure support, and we've extended that to be more enhanced. We now support all the different flavors of RDS, from Oracle to SQL Server to MySQL to Postgres and others. Redshift being their specific cloud database for data warehousing only. We support a variety of appliances for data warehousing. Here we're just showing you Netezza, the actually now Pure Data from IBM. And Hadoop, of course, from the big data side. And SQL Server 2014, we actually supported that just before 2014 came out. We have full support in version 12. The Excel add-in, kind of a nice new feature for us. It's a nice way of simplifying and extending your data to go directly from wherever it's located now in a full load over to Excel in just 2 clicks. In prior versions of CONNX, if you wanted to do that, it was a series of multiple steps, but now you can take non-relational database or mainframe databases, and in just 2 clicks, click on the data dictionary, and that will then import all the data for that table and all the tables, actually for that table, into your Excel product and all versions of Excel. And we'll be seeing a demonstration of that. Another way to look at this is from Excel, you'll be having read-write access to all the information of the 120 databases. So if you remember the prior definition of all 120 databases that we looked at, you'll be able to look at all of those databases and be able to read that information into Excel. KPiSync. KPiSync is available for everybody now for a free download from the different locations that you have your phone or your tablet at, Windows, Android, iOS. And actually the QR we have here will actually work too. And it will give you the ability to take the information that you have in your organization and via Windows application set up parameters of different levels of information to be pushed down to your device. So for example, you can set up groups that will let you have all sales information pushed down to a variety of people for inventory or for sales. You set the parameters and the thresholds for that, and it's then reflective visually on your tablet or your device. For example, one of the key benefits of doing streaming analytics is you can do traffic lighting. Traffic lighting is a great, straightforward way of understanding the information as it's being presented to you. We're all familiar with traffic lights. I grew up in Boston. I didn't see many red traffic lights. I usually went through those. But when you see a red indicator on a machine or on a device, you can say, this is a concern area for me. Maybe it's my levels of inventory for snow shovels in the Northeast during the storms is low, and I need to do something about that. Yellow being more cautionary. It looks like we're okay now, but I may have to take action upon that. And then green, going on the philosophy of all C's, is a cool area, everything is going well. So you can set these levels based upon your business needs and have it reflective based upon a frequency, say every 15 minutes if you want to keep getting a snapshot. So you don't have to know what the numbers mean. You can see a visual representation of that. Real-time replication. SQL Server is now being available to all our customers and prospects who want to be able to do replication from SQL Server and instantaneously bring over those changes over to any other relational database. It's a way of bringing those over for applications that need that. The applications we find are most commonly needing that are people in the financial services that need, for their business, real-time integration and information pushed over. So another way to look at that is whatever your application is, you can do real-time replication and bring that over to a data warehouse then for reporting. A lot of folks following the Bill Inman model will bring all the data over to a data warehouse and then follow that up and bring over selective data to a data mart to do individual reporting. You could also replicate that data over for active-passive failover or an active-active failover, so you can always have a backup copy of that information coming from SQL Server. And there's a variety of other use cases that will always be needed for when you bring over replicated data from SQL Server. So in an overview, these are the main components that are in version 12. The Excel add-in, so now in 2 clicks, you can see all the data that was in your organization and bring that into Excel in a very simple, straightforward manner. You have real-time data replication from SQL Server with InstantdbSync. Streaming analytics that will come to you via the KPiSync product, and then support for all the newest technology that are coming down the road that are currently in place, from big data to cloud to the data warehouse appliances. What Kurt's going to show you now, if I can segue over to Kurt, is he'll give you an example of what it looks like to bring data in from Redshift and from Netezza over to the Excel product. He will then show you KPiSync and how, with an emulator is the best way to show it to you because we can't really show you the physical device, what some streaming analytics look like. And then he'll give a brief demonstration of our real-time data replication tool. Kurt?
Thank you very much, Paul. All right, I'm going to go ahead and kick over to my machine over here. And first off, we're going to talk about the new databases that we can connect to. And as you can see, for existing customers out there, you know what our CDD is. For those who are new to CONNX, this is our data dictionary where we actually store the information about the tables and the actual databases that we connect to. Realistically, once you get the database into the CDD, you're able to access it in whatever capacity you want to utilize. In connecting to Redshift and Netezza, we will consume their existing drivers, and that will enable you to get the information, the metadata about the underlying tables, into the CDD itself. In doing so, you will then be able to use the same technology that you can with all of our other databases that we connect to. You can create homegrown applications to connect to the data. You can utilize DataSync to move the data into these databases. We offer connectivity via ODBC, OLADB, JDBC, and .NET. So anything that will offer a connection option within those parameters, you can utilize to access this data. From here, I'm going to go into the Excel spreadsheet, and as Paul said, it's 2 clicks away. What we do is we have, and I'm going to just go ahead and expand this out, we have a CONNX header up here, and when you click on that, you have the ability to create a new connection, and once you do create it, you can reuse it. I've created one. I'm going to go through and show you how to create one, but once you've created an existing one, you can go and simply double-click on the one you created, and it will automatically connect to that database and populate the data. So now, within doing this and creating this, I'm going to go back and we're going to create a brand new sheet, and so I can go through and the creation part. When we create the new connector for Excel, we simply need to point at the data dictionary itself. So you want to navigate to where that is, and then you want to go ahead and select, we don't want to connect to that one. We're going to go ahead and connect to a different one. And then we'll connect to it with the CONNX user ID and password. And then once you do this, it'll go through and it'll give you a list of the tables and the databases that exist in here. Now there's a couple different avenues in which you can create this connector. You can simply double-click one of the tables to create just a select star query on that table to populate all of the data. Or you can go into the source SQL statement and write your own query or utilize our own query builder, which some of you as existing customers with Infonaut will recognize this. This is our query builder from the Infonaut tool. And then you can create whatever query you want that will abide by the ANSI 92 standards, and that will be the query that will be run underneath the covers when you use this connector. We're going to go ahead and we'll just grab that one. And then it'll prompt you to save the connection. Go ahead and select Finish, and then it'll pre-populate that once you create it. Now, again, once you go in to the CONNX and you want to update or use the existing, you can use that, and you can see that connector in your list there, and you can reuse it. So you don't have to recreate the connections over and over. Once they've been created, as Paul said, it is a simple two-click activity to get your data into Excel. From here, I want to go into the KPiSync tool. We won't save that, and we won't save this. Now in KPiSync, oops, that's the wrong tool. The KPiSync tool is a very, very simple tool to use. First, you'll be prompted to log into the application itself. Once you log into the application, you'll need to create users. As you can see on my screen here, I have 3 users. I have myself set as an administrator, so I have the ability to access, log in, and create KPIs using this application. The user accounts, those are the end users that are going to see the data on the back end through their mobile device. And you have full capabilities of creating and administering the users from this tab. The KPIs themselves, really in the creation of these, it's going to come down to how you want to be notified, what you want to see when it comes down to the conditional formatting for the query that you want to run. As you can see, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's the title, the category, and the description. The SQL query that you want to run, you want to be able to get sums or something, some sort of aggregate that is going to be meaningful to you in your organization. For example, I'm just grabbing the sum, and mine is for beer sales, and so you can go ahead and preview that and see what the data looks like. You have the ability to set the parameters for your conditional formatting and what lights and what those values are that are going to be for the stoplight values. And as you can see, I've set my green to be above 500, my yellow to be greater than or equal to 350, and my red to be under 350. And then you have the ability to select your tiles. Now, let me go ahead and just say OK on this, and I want to go switch over to my phone emulator to show you how this will actually look on your phone. Now, this KPiSync application for the mobile devices is out and available in all the app stores for Apple, for Android, for Windows, and you can download that for free. Of course, you'll have to have the licensing and the application to be able to utilize it. But as you can see, this is what you're going to get on the downside or the downstream from the KPiSync. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into we're going to go back over here, and we're going to go ahead and change some data. I want to actually change the values. And we're going to go ahead and change this, and we'll drop this way down. And this will change the values in the data. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to go push these. So now what that's going to do is that's going to push that data up into the cloud, which will then be disseminated down to the mobile device. Now, let's go back over to my emulator, and as you can see, my beer sales went down to red because the values in the data within my stoplight are well below 350. Now, when we go back over here to, when we go back over here and we rerun this again, and we'll change the data once again, and then we'll go and take, whoops, got to push the data one more time. And then once this is done pushing, this will change to yellow. So as you can see, it's not quite instantaneous, but it's pretty quick. What we do is we push the data up to the cloud, and then that pushes it down to the mobile devices. Now, this is all well and good when you set this up. The real nice thing about this is you can group your KPIs together so that you have, say you have 3 different sets of KPIs. You have some that you want to be notified every hour, some you want to be notified every 3 hours, and some you want to be notified daily. So you create groups of those KPIs, and then you can go to our scheduler. Now our existing customers are going to recognize this, our existing DataSync customers will recognize this as a very similar tool for our DataSync scheduler. And then you can in turn set the recurrence pattern for how often you want this schedule run. And this schedule you can set up to run whatever you want, be it a group of KPIs or individual KPIs. And then you can set it down to literally down to every minute, although I think that might be overkill if you want to be inundated with constant update. But nevertheless, you have that ability. And then once you get this set up, at that increment that you set it up, that information will be run through. It will be synchronized up to the cloud and then pushed down to your mobile application. Okay, from here, we're going to go into our InstantdbSync tool. Now, our InstantdbSync tool, as Paul said, is a real-time replication tool, and it's using SQL Server as a source. Presently, I'm going to be showing you moving data from SQL Server 2008 to SQL Server 2012. Within this, again, this is a real simple tool to use. Once you get into it, you connect to the CDD you create. This is a list of my replications on my design. Then we have a tab that shows you the deployed replications, which I've already deployed all 5 of these. And then you have a server status tab. Now what this does, this goes out and pings the servers, make sure everything's operational. If there's any questions or anything's not running as it should, you're going to see a message in here. Your state description is going to be a bit different than replicating, obviously. One other thing I'd like to show you in here is right now I'm just doing a standard replication of the tables over with no changes. You do have the ability to incorporate transformative properties into these replications. For example, if I go into map columns, this shows the underlying structure of the source and how it's being replicated to the destination. You have the ability to really change the shape and feel of this. I can change column names, change destination data types. If you want to incorporate functions, you can go into our expression builder and create a function based on that column and utilize that within your replication. As it stands right now, we're going to go ahead and leave this as is, and I'm going to show you the actual changing of some of this data. And really, that doesn't happen within this tool. This tool does all of the work behind the scenes. But let me go ahead and actually show you. This is my 2008 source. And as you can see, we have a YY for our customer state. And here's my destination, SQL Server 2012. And you can see the YY there as well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to simply go in and just change this to Seattle. And then we'll go ahead and commit that. And then we'll go over to our destination, and we'll go ahead and execute that. And as you can see, it's already been written to the SQL Server 2012. You can do this. This is going to be operational and functional for any updates, deletes, inserts, any changes on the actual source database. We're a log mining application, so the replication tool is simply grabbing everything that's being done on that source data via the log file and then propagating that over to the destination. So if you do multiple changes within a single transaction, those will be written down within the log file. We'll be able to read that and then populate those in the destination after the transaction has been completed. We'll go ahead and do another one here. We'll just do this as Oregon. Change this to Wyoming. Change that. Change this to stage H. And so then we got 3 changes that we just did there. Now we go over here, and boom. We got our Wyoming, we got our Oregon, and we got our HH. So all things considered, that's the practical demonstration part of our webinar. For our existing customers and our prospects who we hope to work with in the future, I do want to reiterate our support. We are available from Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we can be reached in one of 3 ways. Via the number 888-930-2727, via email at support@connex.com, or lastly, we have a live chat feature that's in the upper right corner of our website, www.connex.com. By selecting that, it'll open up a chat window, and one of our available support technicians will be able to answer your questions.
Thank you, Kurt. That was a great demo. And thank you, Paul, for taking us on a tour of CONNX Solutions and some of the solutions out there. I would like to just wrap up with a quick overview of some of the benefits of version 12. We pointed out a quick, easy, two-click access from Excel to over 120 databases and platforms. With over 1 billion users of Excel out there, it made it very easy for us to decide to put the investment and build this technology to allow those users to have added functionality and added features to all the variety of databases out there. A streaming analytics solution that allows you to stay in touch with business-critical information in real time on any smartphone or tablet. As Kurt pointed out, it is for any device. It is for an Android phone or an iOS or a Windows phone and tablets. The ability to replicate data based on the needs of the business in real time or near real time. With CONNX Solutions, you now have a choice between DataSync or InstantdbSync that allow you to replicate the data based on how your business needs it versus the way the tool dictates it. We also have enhanced support for big data, cloud, and appliances that we saw being Netezza, Amazon Redshift, to name a few. Now I'd like to move over to some questions. I see some questions have come in over the web. What I will do is I'll open up we'll unmute phones as I'm going through some of the questions that came in, and we will get to your live questions as well. I've got a couple of questions here. First question, you mentioned enhanced cloud support. What does that cover? That's a great question. We have added support for Amazon Redshift in addition to Amazon RDS. We also have support for Microsoft Azure, being their SQL Azure. What are all the support devices for the KPiSync app? As I mentioned, we support Android, Apple, and Windows, both in the phone and in the tablet flavors. Let's see, there's a couple other questions up here.
We have a question about is the source only SQL Server. I believe that's in reference to the InstantdbSync tool, and at this time, yes, it is. SQL Server 2008 or above is the only source that we offer that tool for.
There's a question here on, this is being recorded. Will this be available to be seen and listened to later? Yes, we will. We will be posting posting this shortly. And other questions that came in. Why should I upgrade to version 12? Well, there was 4 main themes to the webinar that we saw. There's the Excel add-in that gives you access to over 120 different databases and platforms. We saw a streaming analytics platform, which allows you to drive information out to folks real time. We saw real-time synchronization. So CONNX DataSync solution has been near real time. With this solution, we offer real time. So we allow you to choose what your business needs, whether you need real time or near real time. We offer both. And we saw some added functionality around Netezza, cloud, big data being Hadoop, and some sources. Please check our website or contact. There is always, as you have questions that I didn't answer, I'll just do a plug here quickly. Feel free to connect with us at CONNX Solutions on Twitter, sales@connex.com, or our phone number. Looks like we have more questions.
Yeah, we do have another question on the recovery mechanism on an InstantdbSync if there's a failure. We're a transaction log system, so basically we're reading the transaction log. So if there's an outage and the transaction has not been committed and thereby has not been written to the log file, until it's written to the log file, once it's there, we'll capture it. Now, once we capture it, we then operate it within a transaction itself to the destination. So if there's a problem after it's been committed on the source and we've captured it, it will remain in our system until we can actually write that and then commit that transaction. So if there's anything that goes out before the transaction has been committed, we will then, the next time the system comes back online, we will then run that again and make sure the data gets over there so we don't lose any data.
Next question was on licensing, actually. It was, is there a separate license needed for DataSync and InstantdbSync? Are two separate licenses?
Great question. So on those, there are two different physical products. DataSync is a near real-time solution, and InstantdbSync is a real-time solution. As they are two different products, they are two different license requirements.
We do have one other one that came in asking about real-time replication if Oracle data, if Oracle can be the source and destination. At this time, no. Again, reiterating, InstantdbSync is a SQL Server source only. We are looking at adding additional sources, but at the present time, SQL Server is the only one that we can use as a source right now.
If I could just tag on to that, so as Kurt mentioned, in the first iteration of InstantdbSync, we do offer the source only to be SQL, but we do let you replicate that to any other destination. It can be SQL, it can be any of the supported 120 databases and platforms. We will be adding, as Kurt pointed out, additional data sources as we go to additional releases.
We do have another one about the Excel add-in being read-only. I'm going to go ahead and correct Paul because it is not a read-write application. It is a read-only application. You cannot write back to the data through the Excel add-in under any circumstances whatsoever. Okay, scroll down a little bit. We have another one.
By the way, this is great questions, folks.
Yep. So another question was, InstantdbSync a free add-in for version 12? And actually that's a new component and a new module, or a new product that we introduced within version 12, so the answer is no.
We have a rather long question here about DSM for the ERP system and a separate database for their website, which is hosted off-site. They want to replicate data between those two. Can you scroll down a little bit on that, Paul?
Yep.
On the website. They pretty much want to automate that. That is going to fall into a data sync sense. That's not going to be the new tool of InstantdbSync, but we do have the ability to synchronize the data, but that's not going to be the InstantdbSync tool because, again, the InstantdbSync tool is a SQL Server source only. And, again, there's another question about InstantdbSync working from RMS to SQL Server. Again, InstantdbSync is a SQL Server source only. The connector in the Excel add-in is going to be saved as a connector, a local connector. You can copy that to another machine, so then you can use that for multiple machines once you've created the connector, which will be the underlying query and everything on that. I think that covers about all the questions we got.
There looks like there's a couple more.
Okay.
Data warehousing appliances. I have an Ateza Model 40. What is your support? Wow, that's a little over my head. Kurt, can I throw that one over to you?
We support the full end 2001 product line from IBM for an Ateza appliances. So, yes.
Thanks, Kurt. Sorry, I get into the high-level stuff. What is the difference between real-time and near real-time? So real-time is instantaneous. As it happens, InstantdbSync provides a real-time log mining functionality. So as you make a change in your database on the source, it's replicated to the target. As Kurt pointed out, in InstantdbSync, the source is SQL Server today, but it will replicate to any target. Near real-time can be as frequent as every minute, and based on the business needs, there may be a need for doing real-time, maybe for a replicated backup of that data source or other uses, and maybe you want a data warehouse that's only done near real-time every hour, every evening. You have options, and that was the goal of having two different solutions. I'll give you an example for certain industries. Financial services, they require real-time access all the time because they have a lot of transactions and they need to be up to spot right away. But maybe in other industries, like government and manufacturing, they may want near real-time because the data is not changing as frequently. Any other questions?
Not that I've seen, but we did have quite a few coming in through chat. If I missed any, what I'll do is we'll take a look at what's in chat, and I will address those via the people that sent them in, because most everyone sent them in privately.
Were there any folks that had any other questions at this point?
On that note, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today at our CONNX12 webinar. I'd like to leave you with some points of contact for CONNX. To find out more about CONNX12, please visit our website at connex.com/products/CONNX12. You can follow us on Twitter at CONNX Solutions. You can also send us questions at sales@connex.com or call us at 425-519-6600. Please take a moment to follow us and check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And again, I want to thank everyone for joining us.